Hello, it's Dave here, and Resident Evil Code Veronica has finally made its way to PlayStation 4, but it's not quite in the form you might have expected. We're not getting a brand new HD remaster, or even a port of the previous PS3 and 360 remaster. Instead, what we've got is the PS2 Classics release. That's basically the PS2 game running on PS4 via emulation, though there's not to say there are no improvements whatsoever. For a start, boosting resolution is the main benefit when running via emulation. In this case, the game goes from its original 640 by 480 to 1280 by 960, a 2x increase on each axis in pixel count. And the results aren't bad. We're actually getting a reasonably sharp presentation, although it's not as crisp as a native 1080p image. The game can look quite murky at times, and there's a kind of simple motion blur effect here, which does distort the visuals to some degree, but it's definitely a big upgrade over, say, grabbing the PS2 game and playing that on a HD TV, so that's certainly a bonus. It's worth noting that resolution here is slightly different from other titles currently running on PS2 emulation on PS4, which render out at 1292 by 896, due to these titles running at 448p on PS2 instead of full fat 480p, which is what Code Veronica originally runs at. Besides the increase in resolution, that's pretty much the only upgrade you're getting here. After all, it is the PS2 version, so don't expect any reworked art assets or anything like that. Performance upgrades are also limited due to the game's 30 FPS cap. In this case, we're looking at a steady 30 frames per second, at least throughout the opening areas of the game, so there's no real scope for improvement in terms of frame rates. But at least performance is solid and you are getting a nice resolution boost. One thing we did want to find out though is the status of the PAL PS2 emulation support. Everything you've seen so far comes from the US PSN download, so we went back and re-downloaded the European version to check to see if the game is either the 50Hz PAL original or whether it's been optimized for 60Hz TVs. And the results are, as you'd expect, a little disappointing. The game is indeed the European PAL copy, which means it's internally running at 50Hz, before the emulator essentially interpolates this frame rate up to 60Hz. And this means that you do get additional judder on screen that's simply not present in the US version. And you can see that here. Ignore the spikes on the frame time graph as our tools run at 60, but you can clearly see that the game is running at 25 frames per second here. And just looking at the motion, you can tell that something's not right. Of course, this could be easily fixed by offering us a 50Hz output option on the PS4, but for now, if you're interested in Code Veronica, I'd strongly recommend downloading it from the US PSN store to get the proper 60Hz experience. Besides the 50Hz issue found in the European PSN release, the base PS4 experience is not a bad way to play the game. But is there any benefit to playing on PS4 Pro? After all, the extra power on tap could in theory give us a boost in resolution. Instead of doing 2x on each axis, what about 4x when running in the 4K mode? Is that possible? Well, unfortunately, no. Yes, it is possible, but we're not seeing that here, and there's no PS4 Pro support at all in this emulator. So what you're getting is exactly what you see here. The same 1280 by 960 resolution in 1080p, and when playing the game with the machine set to 4K output. And don't even think about boost mode. As the game is capped at 30 frames per second, boost mode effectively does nothing. The game is already running smoothly at 30 FPS, so really there's not much Pro can do here. Overall, I think that if you want to play Code Veronica, then the PS2 Classics version on PS4 isn't a bad way to do so. Certainly better than playing on original PS2 on a modern TV, but I'd suggest picking up the US PSN version, otherwise you're going to get a suboptimal experience. Anyway, that said, I think I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed our look at Code Veronica on PS4, and if you did, don't forget to like or subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.